There was going into my first directing gig that I did get fired off of after I think 6 or 7 days of shooting, and not for incompetence, it turns out. It turns out that I was being set up the whole time. And when I found that out later, it sort of put it in perspective. But I believed at the time, I internalized that I was not doing it well. And I thought, oh, now I'm worse off than if I hadn't taken the job in the first place. Now I'm at -10. I could have just been at 0. Now I have to dig out of a hole to get to 0.
Yeah.
And so then I knew I had to do something extraordinary or something different. I couldn't wait for a directing gig to come to me. I had to create it for myself, and that's when I wrote The Terminator. I thought, I have to write something original, something that I could plausibly make, that wouldn't have an enormous budget, and it was scaled to, conventional locations, present day, city streets, that sort of thing, so that we could do it relatively cheaply. But I also thought, all right, but I've got to inject into it. It can't just be, a simple drama. I've got to inject into it something that I bring as expertise. So my expertise was in design and in visual effects. And I thought, all right, so I've got to create a careful balance here. The visual effects have to be very limited, but they have to be powerful, so that it's not a ridiculous budget like a Star Wars movie that I knew we couldn't afford or nobody would hire me for. So then I came up with the idea of a futuristic technology that gets injected into the present day, time travel, right? So there was a logic to the story elements that I was playing with that was based entirely on being practical and trying to get a gig. So would I have come up with that story if I didn't have those constraints? I don't know, maybe not, but it all worked out. So I thought, all right, I want this extraordinary thing that requires, animation and design, this Terminator, but I'll have it come from the future, which I don't have to see, and I'll just see present day. We could just use available light, street lighting, and that sort of thing, which is kind of how we did it.